This is Dan Dix here, reporting for Press for Truth, and as viewers of this channel will know, I have recently been diversifying my video sharing platforms mainly as a hedge against the rampant censorship we're seeing lately on YouTube. And I think it's important to promote the other platforms that are not engaging in this type of censorship. And one of the video sharing platforms I've recently joined is Minds.com. So I'm very pleased to be joined on the line right now by the creator of Minds.com, Bill Ottman. Bill, thank you so much, man, for taking some time to speak with us here today at Press for Truth.
Thanks for having me.
Now, I want to get your views on the censorship we're seeing online and the things that we're seeing on YouTube. Channels are being deleted left, right, and center. We've got social media sites like Facebook under heavy scrutiny right now for violating people's privacy rights. But before we get into that, maybe you could start us off with telling us a little bit about what is Minds.com and why did you create it?
Cool, yeah. So Minds is a crypto social network. We're all open source, encrypted, moving towards full decentralization. Basically, you earn tokens for your contribution to the network based on the engagement that you receive every day in terms of votes, shares, comments, referrals, check-ins. You get a percentage of the daily reward pool of tokens, and then you can use those tokens to boost your content for more views. Right now, one token is 1,000 views. And you can also use it to wire to other users peer-to-peer in exchange for exclusive content or other custom rewards that the creators set. So, yeah, that's sort of the basics.
Well, it looks like you've been covering some good grounds there in terms of token rewards. So maybe you can elaborate on that a little bit. What would you say is the role of cryptocurrencies right now in platforms such as yours?
I mean, basically, why are we trying to be reliant on proprietary, centralized, third-party networks for our own monetization, whether at the network level or the creator level? I mean, if you look at what's happening on Facebook, YouTube, with the demonetization, the algorithm manipulation, I mean, on Facebook, you're only reaching 3% of your own fans now. You used to be able to reach far more, actually drive traffic from there, and now it's pretty much a total joke. So, a distributed blockchain that can't be taken down is obviously a much more stable option. And the fact that we can create these micro token economies to reward creators is really where things need to go. I mean, there's no reason that the creators in the network have to have a symbiotic relationship. It shouldn't just be like these shadowy figures at the top echelons controlling everything and not being transparent with the community.
Well, what are specifically the tokens that you're rewarding users with? I know on Steemit.com and DTube, I get SBD, Steam dollars, and a cryptocurrency called Steem. What is it that you guys are providing for your users?
So we're on the Ethereum blockchain. Right now we're actually on the Ethereum testnet called Rinkeby. And we've basically taken the opposite approach of most crypto launches where we're putting out the product first. We're not doing a big ICO, in the beginning, trying to just like raise money and run away. So we're gonna probably be going on the mainnet this summer, but so yeah, we're on the Ethereum blockchain. So it's an ERC20 token.
Okay. Oh, very cool. I mean, the Ethereum blockchain has been so innovative and so many people have been able to build so many cool smart contracts and things of that nature on it. Now, in terms of today's algorithms that seem to be running on pretty much every social media platform, how would you say algorithms generally have the ability to determine what it is that people see? Like, how do they work?
Yeah, I mean, they're determining everything, basically. So on Minds, it's a pure chronological newsfeed, and we're committed to keeping it like that forever so that you're always seeing everything that the people you subscribe to post. I mean, that is the most basic purpose of social media, is that when you subscribe to someone, you get their posts. And the fact that this has become the norm for there to be this algorithmic curated thing based on who you engage with, and then in addition, advertisements popped in there, and what Facebook wants you to see. And Facebook has been running secretive experiments on their news feed. I mean, they did a experiment that was very controversial with Princeton, where they injected negative or positive news stories into the news feed to see if they can make people happy or sad, and they proved that yes, they can. And so the issue here is totally about transparency. And generally, you mentioned Steemit. I think that they're open source, they're decentralized. Somewhat, I don't think they're quite as decentralized as Ethereum in terms of the way that their blockchain is set up. And they're more of a blogging platform. We're focused on more of like the full spectrum of social functions, and we've sort of structured the reward system differently in that everyone's vote is more equal on Minds. It's based on overall engagement that you receive. Steemit, I think, sort of has a little bit of like a whale thing going on, where a number of users can, the more Steem you have, the more power you have. And so you're trying to get the attention of this small number of people in order to be able to make money. And I mean, look, you sort of get into a model and then you got to go with it. It's hard to pivot out once you're stuck in something. So I think that generally speaking, there's positive things. My philosophy is that if a network is open source, shares their code so it can be inspected, audited, peer reviewed, if they're encrypted, if they're working towards decentralization, generally I think we're all on the same team. When it gets into like proprietary apps that are not being transparent, not showing you their software, that's really what we're trying to get away from.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I'm a fan of Steemit.com, but it certainly has its flaws. I mean, as you said, a millionaire, for example, could easily just buy in by purchasing Steam power and all of a sudden have a great deal of influence to be able to influence who makes it on the trending page or not. So I think it's important to move, towards less censorship and something that promotes free speech. I mean, is that really what this comes down to, the battle for free speech?
Yeah, man. I mean, free speech is at the center of this whole thing. And there's this misconception with establishment networks that, okay, look, none of us like violent speech. None of us, hate speech, who knows the exact definition. But generally speaking, yeah, there's a lot of harsh stuff out there that is really not cool. But should that be censored? Actually, the evidence that we're finding, we're actually about to put out a paper about this now, is that censorship amplifies violence and extremism. And so while Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, all of them think that, they're protecting their community by doing this, actually what they're doing is making the global problem on the internet and in the physical world much worse. I mean, there's no excuse obviously for what the YouTube shooter did recently. And that was a horrible thing. It's not YouTube's fault. I mean, she was mentally ill. But the harsh reality is that, yes, there are mentally ill people on the internet. And we need to understand that censorship freaks people out, especially when you interfere with people's ability to communicate and learn. This is not a mature way to be dealing with the problem. So we found dozens of studies that show that even in the Reddit, so Reddit did a study. They analyzed hundreds of millions of posts, pre and post censorship. Reddit did a huge wave of bans of subreddits that were controversial. And the study found that, yes, on Reddit, they diminished, quote unquote, hate speech. But the study clearly stated that just was like a toothpaste tube. You squeeze it out of Reddit, and then it just spreads and amplifies and gets worse elsewhere on the internet and causes it to become more extreme. So, and unfortunately, a bunch of mainstream media picked up on this study, and they were like, oh, look, censorship works. But that's not what the study actually said, and that's not what any of these studies are saying.
Yeah, I've often said this, and I'll say it again. If you don't believe in freedom of speech for even the people you absolutely despise, some of the most vile thoughts, well, then you don't believe in it at all. If you're not into it for even those that you completely despise, then you're not into freedom of speech at all. And I think that's one of the issues we're seeing on some of these globally recognized video and media sharing platforms like YouTube, for instance. It's where a lot of people go for their information. So, what do you think are some of the biggest problems right now with YouTube? Because it seems like people are starting to think about migrating off of that platform and onto platforms such as yours.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all you got to diversify for sure. You don't have to go cold turkey up front, but you got to protect your ability to communicate with your community. And so, I mean, I've been trying to slowly extract. Like, I'm off Facebook now, off Instagram. It's not easy, but ultimately, I'm getting much better reach on Minds than I was on Facebook anyway. So and reaching more people that I actually do want to connect with. I think that it's really meaningful and symbolic to support alternative, free and open source networks because the metrics are what empower the site. I mean, it's like voting with your dollars. Like we're voting with our energy online. Like the browsers that you use, the OSs that you use, the apps that you use. This is what restructures the distribution of power globally. So using like Mozilla as opposed to Chrome or Safari, very important. Mozilla is open source. If you're bold enough, try to use Debian or Ubuntu for your OS as opposed to Windows or Apple. It's these types of like micro movements that have like insane impact.
Yeah, this is what I love about what we're seeing right now is that the more they try to shut us down and censor us, we're now starting to see a true free market, a real free market for the first time start to emerge because people like yourself are starting to present alternative platforms to deal with these issues in the open market, and hopefully the market will decide and start to move into these other directions and diversify their ways of being able to share information. So what do you hope to see come out of Minds.com? I mean, in the foreseeable future, maybe in the next few months or even few years from now, what are your hopes and aspirations and potential milestones you hope to see with Minds.com?
I mean, we just did a huge release last month where we got native mobile apps. So now that took a really long time to build. So it's actually quick on mobile, and we're building out video. We're about to release a whole WebTorrent integration with our video system so that it's decentralized video. Video is so expensive, so we actually had to recently limit the video length temporarily, I hope, but I mean, honestly, half of our costs were video transcoding. And that's the carrot that Facebook and YouTube hold out in front of you, which is here, your free video. And, that's a good feature. So we need to be working towards that. But it's funny, like, if you look at all the apps now, everything's sort of coalescing into the same thing, like Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Snapchat, like they kind of all have the same features. I mean, you're taking videos, you're posting photos, you're posting status updates, and now it's just I think once we can. So our goal is obviously reach the fully competitive point feature wise. Like we have to do that, otherwise the masses are never going to be willing to migrate, and nor should they, because we have a responsibility to develop to be competitive. But I think that once people have the choice between more freedom-based, ethical options and just the proprietary surveillance model, I mean, what are you going to choose? If it has the same features, obviously you're going to choose the one that rewards you and respects your freedom of speech and whatever else.
Yeah, I mean, I sincerely hope that people will finally get it and start to move into these directions. And as you said, it takes a lot of money, it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of work to be able to build something like this. So if people are interested in maybe supporting your efforts, is there a way that people can get involved or can donate or can somehow contribute to what you're trying to build?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, our boost system right now, you can pay for, which we definitely appreciate if you want to, but you also earn the tokens, which you can boost with. So you can earn them or buy them. Just click the little boost button on the bottom of your post. We did an equity crowdfunding round last year, so like 1,500 members of the community invested, and we raised a little bit over $1 million. That's what we're running on now, and that was huge. So like the community could be sort of co-owners. We're probably going to do another one of those in the future, but also Minds Plus sort of gives you some upgraded features and like badges That's minds.com/plus. That's huge. Or, if you want to just donate, you can PayPal us or Bitcoin us, and there's I'll just hit me up minds.com/Ottman, and if you're interested in contributing in that way, definitely let me know.
Awesome. Well, I'm definitely going to have those links in the description so people can get involved. And I'm going to, be getting a lot more active on Minds. I got an event coming up tomorrow, for example, 420, globally recognized events, and I've been covering this for years. And YouTube is now deleting cannabis-related channels here. Friends of mine here in BC, guys with over 170,000 subscribers, just poof, gone, memory hold. And, so I'm going to be covering this tomorrow, but not allowing YouTube to potentially remove, completely strike my channel or make the funds off of my hard work from covering that. So I'm going to make my coverage exclusive to minds.com. Well, I suppose exclusive is not the right word, because I'll be putting it on minds.com and a few other of these social media sharing platforms. So I want to encourage people to follow me on Minds, follow Bill on Minds. Check the links in the description below. Any final thoughts on, just this movement really is what it's turning into in general?
Yeah, you got the /Press for Truth, right? I think that we handed you over the creds because one of your fans, I think, made it. But I guess what I would just say is that, in regards to the free speech stuff, for some people, we have like good filtering tools, and like obviously you can block, and we want people to be able to control their experience as much as possible, because a lot of people aren't interested in that kind of content. But what I just urge is that, because like with comedy, there's so much nuance, sarcasm. It's really important for people to, I'm sure most people watching this already know this, but what I feel is really productive in communicating this to more people is that having the thick skin to be able to handle this and spread it is what is going to fix the issues in the long term. So it's just like we can't be scared of what we need to confront. The only way that we're going to fix the problems is to confront them head on. It's like fighting. Even the ACLU says headlines like fight hate speech with free speech. And I think that even organizations like that, luckily, they're drifting, but they're still in support of this. Generally, like Electronic Frontier Foundation, ACLU, and hopefully they'll hold strong on that, and we can fix the problems.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's this social justice warrior mentality that you just got to shut it down, whatever you disagree with, and I think that's completely moving in the wrong direction as well. We need to be able to engage in rational debate. If you have a problem with somebody's ideology or beliefs, you should be able to rationally discuss it rather than just try to have them censored outright.
I would also say one quick other thing is that art and music are huge on mine. So I know you play guitar, right? And you're a musician, so definitely upload some of your music too. I think that it's good to balance it out.
Okay, definitely will. I don't know if I recently wrote a song for James Corbett because he recently quit Twitter. So I wrote a funny little ditty called "James Corbett is no longer on Twitter." So maybe I'll make that.
Corbett's on mine too.
Yeah, what's that?
Corbett's on there too. He's an animal. He's great.
Yeah, he's been killing it on that website, I've noticed. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna post that. I'll take your advice, post some of my music, and definitely every video that I create from here on in. So once again, man, I want to thank you first of all for creating the platform, and also for joining us here to lay it all out for us today.
Thanks for having me.